Alright guys, so we are going to be doing a tier list for the SR unit. So a lot of people have been requesting me to do a follow-up for the SR. So here we are. I have already listed all the units, so you guys can definitely pause and just kind of take a look at what I currently have. I'll definitely go to not all of them. I'm just going to go to like where I place certain unit, why they're and why these units are in this bracket and why these units are in like a different bracket. So I just want to give you guys a a quick disclaimer for the SR unit. In terms of UC engage, every rankings of these unit are very valuable. I'm just talking about like URs, SRs, and then Rs. They do have their own roles. For SR specifically, once we do have events that will require you to use SR to complete them, like to complete like the challenges and whatnot, any of these SR are going to be valuable. So don't just think that SR and Rs are kind of pointless, they don't do anything. They will eventually, when we have those events, they'll be very valuable. It's just a matter of time when we get them. So as far as right now, I would not say go ahead and upgrade things that I, quote unquote, consider them as good, because as far as the resources, I feel like we're still not at a point where they are like enough for everyone, like to upgrade like your I guess your stronger unit, like yours or whatnot. So until we have a more secure way of getting the SR custom tickets, which on the JP version they are pretty much just given when you clear like missions and whatnot. So I feel like for global we may or may not be like a long way from that, but I feel like you should not really use a lot of your resources into upgrading them, unless we have like a bit, let's say this week require you to use SR to complete them. Then I mean, like, by all means go ahead, but I mean at this point in time, URs is definitely still the way to go to complete many of the PvE content and arena. I'll say for SR unit, there are not, you wouldn't really see a lot of the SR's units in arena specifically, just because arena is more like I feel like it's just an environment to flex your UR units and just kind of make a composite team that will do good in it. SRs are just not competent enough, even the ones that are like, quote unquote on S tier. I don't think they're anything, I just don't think they're anywhere as competitive, right? But as far as PvE content, any other content outside of arena, they are good. All right, so let's kind of get started with these kind of different rankings. So let's kind of start from D. Many of these unit rankings and their skill 1 and skill 2, I believe somewhere along the line they require you, is like you take full advantage of like the skill 1 and skill 2 after 30 seconds, which I mean, like, when we take a look at the grand scheme of these SR unit, I don't like, there are a lot of good, like there are a lot of them that does not ties into like a specific timer, for example. Therefore I feel like a lot of them are not really deserving, especially when we take a look at like these right here. So that's why a few selected one of them, especially these one, are just not going to be making up to like anything anywhere higher. Everywhere that falls along the C tier, unfortunately their kit is just really basic. A lot of them are very repetitive, so when I was going through them, I filter in by looking at one category first, like the raid, then move on to into generic, and then I move on to tank, the bombardment, and the sniper. So I get a good idea of like what each of these unit does within their own category, which I find a lot of them are very repetitive. They don't really bring a whole lot into the table. So I feel like these are not that they're bad, but I just feel like they're not really worthwhile when we have things that are more qualified, things that brings more attribute to the table, where they are going to be more useful for longevity wise, which brings us into the B tier. So a lot of these are actually quite powerful. Like I think for these first 3, they are able to stun, which are pretty good. The tanks, unfortunately, I think this one's probably going to be the biggest red flag for a lot of people, the Zook. Yeah, Zook is fairly good for arena, but it's only for arena purposes. That is strong. You might bring it into PvE content, is not going to perform good, because the whole premise of for arena is for this unit to pop the E skill and then having a continuously healing. So the premise of it, you want to start the match where when your enemy takes on your squad, you have them time out so they lose. That's essentially what you want to do with the Zook. You're not supposed to use it to win any matches, right? You probably won't. So if you're talking about any PvE content, are you really trying to stall the match? You're trying to win, so you want to use unit that will allow you to beat the opponent so you can move on. So Zook is not going to be too viable anything anywhere outside of arena. So I just want to make that clear. I know a lot of people are gonna say, why is Zook not an S tier? Because well, he's just not that good outside of arena. So what do you want me to say? A lot of them are pretty good, but there's some few clicks in their kits that is not that good. So but they're still a lot more better than your generic unit that are in the C tiers, and right, which now brings us into the A tier. So a lot of these are actually quite good. I believe the Saikam Zaku, this one has a lot of attribute where you can kind of tank, but it kind of acts as like a generic unit. So you're still able to offer quite okay damage at the same time, still kind of surviving. So I feel like for PvE content is really good, right? Memphis is good because it has the healing, which in the grand scheme of a lot of these SR units, they don't really offer healing capability, which Memphis does have it. It's on a single target, but it's still good, right? And then this is one of the Engage Gundam. I want to say this is the one we gotten from the latest storyline. It's actually not that bad, believe it or not. The skill like this one actually provide decent amount of damage, which I feel like is pretty compatible. And this one I believe is one of the Gia Dogas. No, this one is a Jig Doga. This one actually provide really good damage on skill 2, so not bad. And this one is the Super Engaged Gundam. Same thing, it does high damage, but skill 1, if I recall correctly, is a lock on to what is it, one of those like after 30 seconds. Unfortunately, that is not that good, but I feel like skill 2 definitely mix it up, and then the EX skill effects actually offer a lot. So I guess it kind of balance it out in a way. And this one is I forgot which engaged Gundam this one is, but this one actually provide pretty high damage output as well as a bombardment unit, so definitely gonna be right up there in A. Alright, so bringing up to the S tier now. So a lot of these are, I guess for a lot of you guys, it's kind of like why are they up there? Starting out with the Pro 2 sub, what is it? This one, is it the mass produced Quibbly or just Quibbly? This one is actually quite good. This one actually is a debuffer, so it's increasing beam damage to, well, it actually increases damage dealt to the enemy, which is actually quite good. You can definitely use this in a race specifically, or any other content that a little bit more long formed, right? A long term battle. This one is just for that purpose. I believe in one of the, I want to say in the last clan battle, I actually used this unit to deal more damage in the form of debuffing the enemy, which is, it worked out quite good. Alright, it was actually very good because I did not actually, or I did use alongside with like, I don't know, like Mark 2 and then the other like Borges Dallas to just massively debuff the enemy, which worked out just fine. So I think this is probably the only unit that has like a just all enemy just on the EX effect, so definitely really good. The gym is probably the only one that has a squad healing, which is, it speaks volumes because like I said again, healing is quite scarce in the SR's listing, so this one is obviously going to be right there. And then we have I forgot what this unit is called, but it's actually another summonable SRs that I recently seen from the Sasabi banner, which definitely made its debut on there. This one has it's a generic thing, obviously, pretty much same with the other three, but this one actually has a mass healing as well. This one is to any of the mass produced units, which I feel like a lot of these units actually falls into the mass produced I guess category or the word tag. So I feel like this one will make a very valuable spot once we have more mass produced SR unit or even just rares, right? So that's why I feel like it deserves into the S tiers. But other than that, that's gonna be pretty much it. So a lot of these having better characteristics, or just being able to offer more than to the table, are gonna be way up there. As far as the other one, like on C tier and D tier, they just don't make the cut at all. Like their kit is too basic, The EXQ don't really offer a lot of like tangible stuff that it can be a benefit to the overall squad or to the battle itself. So I feel like they're just that B tier, just kind of there. They're just kind of like whatever. I feel like these three up front maybe even well deserved to be in the A tier because of their stun capability, which I don't say too much from the other SRs. But other than that, that's gonna be pretty much it. You guys should definitely let me know how much of this you guys do agree. I think they're quite good, right? Depending on how I kind of rank them. Obviously, I don't have the experience of using every one of these SRs, but just looking at the kit and what they do, I think approximately this is how they should be as far as the listing itself. But other than that, that's gonna be pretty much it for me, and I'll be catching you guys all on the next one.